Guess what? It's morning time to start this meeting. And it's already getting recorded. Got it. Got it. Yeah, well, got it.
Steve Fox.
Morning, Jess.
How are you?
I was in trouble. Starting a few minutes late because everybody was trickling in. It's like we had a couple of weeks of holidays or something. Everybody's slow. And I do see 32 people online also. Everybody online. Hello, hello, hello. So we're going to start off like we normally do. You got to say hi to two people you don't know. If you're online, you need to send a direct message to two people on chat and introduce yourself. So you got 1 minute to meet new people. You're ready? One. Here, sound went away again.
Amanda's screen sharing.
Amanda Huff has started screen sharing.
Show us, Amanda. She took over.
What am I doing?
She's like, I'm gonna leave team meeting today.
Coming live from Lebanon.
She's trying to get in.
Let's see, Nicole, are we back on the screen share?
Yeah, I think so. I think she released it, but you have to share your screen again.
Share my screen again.
She's probably doing it now.
Oh, Lord, what's happened? Everything was so perfect, and then. Oh, well, let's let Mark King take it away. Let's see what he has to say. He's not saying much. Where's our volume?
I'm the Director of Team Leader Community and Engagement, helping your team leaders talk about all things housing economy and what you need to know.
Yeah, and in this new year, what we need to know is what's going to happen with closed
Nothing's working today.
units. And there's some projections out there, somewhere around 4 million closed units in 2023 in the United States. That's down from 6.1 million in 2021. So are you prepared for an up to 33%?
Interesting buffer problems today.
Drop in closed units.
That's right. And my coach and I had an interesting conversation today where he told me that, Jen, hey, agents actually control the market more than the economy. And I thought that's an interesting way to say that. And he said it's because the conversations that you have, the things that you say to your clients actually impacts their decisions about buying and selling
Dramatic pause.
more than what they're hearing on the news.
Yeah, and if you want to learn all the right things to say, because let's be honest, we've been through a 14-year economic expansion. It's fair to say we might have fallen in the trap of being lead receivers more than lead generators as an industry. If you want to know exactly what to say, when to say, and who to say it to, please come to Family Reunion in Anaheim.
That's right.
You'll be there.
I will be there.
I'll be there.
You should be there too.
That's a great way to end.
Done.
And have a happy new year.
Happy New Year, y'all.
All right, so that was an interesting thing to me that we set the tone more with our buyers and sellers than the actual news does or anything else. So think about that when you're talking with people and make sure.
Hello, Keller Williams.
We don't want that again. All right. Hopefully we're up and running now. Yes, we're on to our mission statement. So every week we try to focus on one of our different MVVP items, our mission, vision, values, beliefs, perspectives. Today, look at our mission because this is the brand new start of the year. I thought we needed to refresh on this. We are here to build careers worth having, businesses worth owning. And that's all it says about work right there. Look at the next three. Lives worth living, experiences worth giving, legacies worth leaving. We're not here to have a job. We're here to change our lives and change our clients' lives and our family's life and everybody we come in contact with. So keep that in mind everywhere you go. That's what we're here about. We're not selling houses. We're changing lives. And every week we have a culture winner. How many weeks ago? The holidays, who knows what day it is anymore. Jennifer Grove was the winner and she nominated someone who has won before, Mark Stewart. Give her a round of applause. A little collection of Ron Steffes action figures here. So she says, Mark is always calm, cool, and collected. Mark represents ultimate professionalism at all times. If you need a role model to show you how to give high-level service with a kind, honest, professional touch, Mark is the go-to. So let's
Want the
get,
number?
you got it?
417-861-3348 for those of you who don't have them in your phone.
You need to text him and say, congratulations on being this
That's
week's culture
quick, right?
winner.
Congratulations.
Give that one more time. Operators are standing by. Shannon, one more time. The number.
Oh, right. Okay. Sorry. I wasn't listening.
That's okay.
417-861-3348.
So he will be excited to know he's a culture winner again. And he is. He's always around helping people. I think he was in here yesterday. Half this building was here yesterday working. It was crazy how much stuff was going on. So we have an exciting start to the new year. So we got a lot of new info today with a lot of things to get through. Jim and Don, what do you have for us? I don't think so. It's all you.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm just encouraging everybody to make sure. Oh, Jim's there. Never mind. New form. That's all I got.
He was gonna take the shortcut, that's what.
That's right.
First of all, you got your links through the GSBOR,
Yes.
weekly news. You really need to scroll down to the Missouri Realtors, the section with the attorneys. And right there is a link to the new revisions, but there's also the red line version. And really, my suggestion is, that's what I do. I print out the red line version because I don't care. The rest of it's gone now. I want to know what changed and exactly what it was. They're fairly simple changes. There's nothing that was drastic. We were talking earlier, like last year when it really changed quite a bit. Contract didn't change that much. But so if you printed that, you'll see no changes on page 1. And then on page 2, the only change was the seller agrees to provide reasonable access to the property for appraisal. Yeah, but it wasn't there before, I guess. And so they've added it to that section. On page 3, on paragraph 7, which is the inspections, it just talks about using if you're going to use the as-is rider, it actually mentions it in the paragraph. And then it also says that during this, seller agrees to provide reasonable access to property for this purpose, and as may be required by buyer's lender, insurer. Again, that's not a big change, but it mentions also a qualified inspector in there. I don't want you to get confused when it says qualified inspector. That's not really a big change because the buyer can still do the inspections, okay? And then on the property data period, it says that's the buyer remorse paragraph, 7B. It says to put NA in that blank if you're going to leave it blank or it's going to default to 5 days. Okay? Everybody got that? That's easy.
Isn't that
We've
normal?
been putting 0 in there. Is that not okay?
I say 0 works too, but I mean, what it says is insert NA if not applicable. Otherwise, 5 days if not stated. I think 0 means 0. I think you'd be okay, but I'm not an attorney. On the resolution period, it just goes on to say, and this is on page 4 of the contract, that even though there's a capitulation period, it ends it by saying, and this is an addition, where the parties reach a mutually acceptable written agreement prior. In other words, you can still, anytime when you're in negotiations, regardless of all these dates and times and all that, if you reach an agreement in writing that's contractual, then it overrides the capitulation period, for example. That's fairly simple too. On page 5, it talks about tax increment financing districts, community improvement districts, and neighborhood improvement districts being added to where the title company decides what needs to be paid at closing. Pretty exciting stuff. Walkthroughs on page 6, it talks about, it gives a buyer the right to enter and walk through and verify the condition of the property and what was added upon reasonable advance notice from buyer prior to closing, which you should do, exactly right. Even if it's a vacant home, you should tell the seller's agent, the listing agent, that you're going to do a walkthrough. And it goes on, seller will arrange at seller's expense to have all utilities turned on through closing unless utilities have been transferred to buyer. Now, that doesn't always happen, right? I mean, we've lived through, anybody that's been here long enough, lived through the foreclosure period. If you want the utilities on, you may have to put them in your name. Just give you that heads up. Because if we go to that place where we may be going to, you may have to have the utilities turned on yourself, put in your name, and then shut off once you're done with the inspections, okay? But they added it anyway. And then on page 7, they added a box for condominium writer. Who's done business in Branson and sold a condominium? Hate those. But this condominium writer, if you don't use it, then it doesn't transfer. So if you're not familiar with that, make yourself familiar. And if not going to do, I mean, to me, if I was going to sell a condominium, I'd probably refer it to somebody because I don't want to mess with it. But that's just me. Government loan writer, they took out a whole section regarding termites because we got a VA flyer that came out about 4 months ago, just out of the blue, that said the VA buyer can now pay for repairs and pay for any repairs related to a termite inspection. They just took it out. I mean, so you just need to know that it's not there anymore. So when you go to negotiate that, if that becomes a problem with the seller, now the buyer can't pay for that. Question on you? And then on, we don't use these. Who uses a buyer's inspection authorization when you're sitting down with a buyer client? You know, it's an interesting document because it says here's the type of inspection and the buyer schedules or the buyer authorizes the broker to schedule. So it's pretty interesting. I've seen it, but I've forgotten about it. Well, they revised it. And if you want to look at it, I mean, it's just a single page document. So you're sitting with your buyer and the buyer says, okay, I want a termite inspection. You write down termite inspection, who's going to be the provider, and either I schedule or you schedule, right? All it does is more documentation when the buyer says, well, you took care of all the inspections. I don't know what you did. So if you had this document, you might want to look at it in the revised documents. You might just put it in your folder and decide whether you're going to use it or not. You know what I'm saying? So you
I
want to
use
do
it when
a,
it's out of town, with an out of town client.
huh?
I
Yeah.
always use it with out of town.
Oh, you
clients.
do? Okay, that's a good idea. I have never used one. I've seen other companies throw one in every once in a while on a packet when we're reviewing a contract or something where there's a dispute. And I think it's not a bad idea because then the buyer signs it and says, I'm authorizing you to set all these people up. That doesn't mean that you're hiring them. Again, you're just engaging them to do the job as authorized by the buyer. Not a bad idea. So look at that one. They added some language to it, but it doesn't matter really. It's not anything that changes that document.
Hey, Jim.
Yeah.
Amy has a question on there.
I think the only person who can put utilities in their name is the person who will be living there unless you have a landlord account. Is that
No, that's
correct?
not correct, right? In the past, did you ever put any in your name? Lee, I'm talking to you.
I couldn't tell. I'm sorry. I don't have my glasses on. All right, so
Have you ever put utilities in a house in your name prior to
No.
closing? Okay.
no.
I have. Is anybody else? Back there, Wes says, I don't think you have to add that. I don't see you don't have to have that, I don't think, because I put them in my name before.
I think you have to indicate you're a real estate professional and then it's a temporary turn on. So you have to provide your credit card information, sometimes a deposit, and then it's a temporary turn on. You say, I want 3 days or 5 days or whatever.
Right, so Amy, you might not have heard that, but Wes says that, yes, he believes that you can. It's a temporary turn on. You have to provide all information, including a credit card they were gonna do it for a certain amount of time. I know in the past, when, you guys haven't been there, most of you, I know you're not old enough, but back in the days when the foreclosures, there were more foreclosures than there were occupied properties. We had to turn on utilities all the time if we're gonna do an inspection for them. And look, we just went through this spell right now where it's 30 degrees below zero. If you were buying a foreclosed property, you probably better turn on the pipes.
And several listing agents who did foreclosures had 30, 40 homes with utilities in their name.
Yeah.
Because that's the agreement they had with the REO company.
And that's common too. And you guys.
That's how somebody got started in here.
Babysit.
As, if the market goes that direction, we hope it doesn't, but if you deal with a foreclosure company, they may require you to be responsible for all of it, you know? And that includes the utilities and maintenance and everything else. And you just, I mean, I can remember it, the other company I was with, when I was with Carol Jones / Reese Nichols. We had one girl to that, Beth Stubblefield, and we had a debt accumulated of $176,000 for maintenance and upkeep on all these homes because we had a huge portfolio of them. So just remember that if you decide you want to get in the REO game, open a separate account. And lastly, on the as-is inspection waiver rider, they made some changes. What it looks like to me is they had so many references back to paragraph 7 in there. They just removed a lot of that because it's already in paragraph 7. And they didn't really change the rider in any way that is specific. The only thing I think that changes for sure is they say waiver of any inspection rights pursuant to this rider shall not waive any other rights for the buyer under the contract. Because the contract's still there. Just you're waiving whatever inspection rights you decide to waive. Now, that was a rush through there, and I know you don't have papers in front of you, and but if you want to come to contract class sometime, you can. But here's what I would encourage you, and I've had this discussion with every contract class to teach. You need to study the contract and the documents like it's when you were in Bible school. You don't have to know it like word for word, but you better know the basis if you're going to heaven. You know what I mean?
And not going to jail.
Yeah, but they have a separate section, so they have the red line, and then they have what's called form revisions, and it walks right through it and explains it. And there's also a link in there to the master forms list, which I get calls all the time. I can't find this form, I can't find this form. If you have the master forms list just on your desktop, you just push the button, there it is, and it's going to be there. And they did update the letter of intent. How many have used that? If you do commercial occasionally, you use a letter of intent. It's not to be used on residential properties. What we do most of the time on residential, which is kind of a letter of intent, we negotiate by email maybe, but we don't actually put something in writing that gets negotiated back and forth like that, like a letter of intent. It doesn't hold you to anything, but it's real common in commercial or multifamily or something like that. Anything else? Be good.
A couple other, also, there was a question online, DocuSign, they should be updated automatically. So if you use DocuSign, the new form should be there. But I would recommend every January, take a contracts class to see what's new in it. It's great to go through because you'll see stuff you've been doing wrong. You're like, oh yeah, I started shortcutting that because houses were selling so fast. Now I got to remember again.
Don does a great job with that.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Hey, does .loop update automatically?
Don't know on that because it's.
As a team leader, you should find that out.
Well, we know who's
Just kidding.
Dotloop's owned by Zillow. They're probably there. I'm sure their estimate's very close on that. So we need to get some more updating on team names and that kind of stuff. This is from the Missouri Department of Commerce and Insurance. On here, it is telling what words you can or can't use, but then it throws this line in there. The top of this page, it says, when the licensee or group of licensees name includes or incorporates the name of the brokerage with whom the licensee group is affiliated, then you can use that. So for example, Educators Realty Group, powered by Keller Williams, is an appropriate name. You can use the word realty there or company, but look at the red. As long as the registered fictitious name is owned by the broker or brokerage in which the licensee or group of licensees are affiliated. So if you're gonna use those three bad words, it was realty, brokerage, company. Ooh, let me use my laser. Where'd they go? Realty, brokerage, company. If those are in your real estate name, That is, the concept of this is you cannot let the public think you're a standalone brokerage. Because if things go wrong, they won't know who to get a hold of. And so that's why this all came into play, I think, because so many people don't understand the team concept and they thought, well, the team was its own brokerage. So you can have those names in there, but the LLC has got to be registered, or the fictitious name owned by the brokerage. And there's a little step on that. Yes, sir.
Well, I was just gonna say, we've had this for a few years that we have to register it through the brokerage if you're gonna do that. We're not gonna keep it. I mean, if you wanna transfer it to a company that's not gonna be as successful and may fail in the future, you have the right to do that. We're not gonna keep your LLC, as I'm gonna say, so it'll be transferred, you
You're
know.
my favorite.
Oh my gosh, so many good things today. So anyway, and Landon has been calling some of the people with LLCs to make sure it's all set up properly. So you may have heard from him on that. Real quick, vendor guide is USA Mortgage here, HSA warranty, onward, legal and title. I do see some people. Let's start with Mr. Rodhouse.
Thank you.
We're coming back.
2022 is our best year to date. We love you guys. We really appreciate all that you've done for us. Don't forget, we are the only locksmith in the area with Supra access. So with the CBS code, we can make your job real easy if you have a problem with your locker keys.
Adam?
Adam McGrath, Comparion Insurance Agency, and last year was also our best year ever. So thank you to you guys who use us. We appreciate you so much.
And then Jess?
Hey, guys, Jess Bowman, Bowman Insurance Group. I hope you all had awesome holidays. And we're just here to support you guys and help you with whatever you need insurance related.
Anybody else I missed? Anybody online? Very cool. We're so happy to have our vendors here with us. Make sure you visit with them afterwards so you can kind of find out what they can do to help your business go easier. Also, do not call people you're not supposed to. Do not get sued. Do not bring litigation bring litigation to Keller Williams Greater Springfield.
Don't shame us.
Yes, yes, sir.
Well, and we've had, what, 548 expired listings or some stupid number, which we always have. You can call those because they've been publicly advertised with their phone number legally. You don't have to worry about this. And if they tell you that, I mean, obviously just be polite and, don't call them anymore. But if you haven't violated any laws, if you call it an expired listing where the number's been advertised.
All right, I've changed the graphic for the How's the Market because we had the 3 different screens each time. So I put them all into one this year. So you can see SOMO and everything dropped except for North. It's like we had a holiday or something. We had 110 new listings, 115 new contracts, 180 closings for SOMO. GSBR was down quite a bit. East, and like I said, North stayed about the same. But the funny stat I saw, 2 homes went pending in 1 day or less. Remember last summer, it was 70 to 80. Of course, there were 2 holidays and all kinds of things like that, but that was just kind of an interesting stat to see on there. Also, as Jim was just saying, we had 1,343 active listings last week. We dropped to 1,250. That many expireds hit 12/31. And so now we're going to start tracking and see how we compare to 2022, but we are almost double the number of listings as where we started the year last year. So it's still a seller's market, but there's a lot more possibilities there. And I think people are starting to settle in with the new interest rates too. It feels like they're like, well, it is what it is now. And I think we're going to see a little bit more balance, hopefully. January calendar. Oops. Oh, my little arrow disappeared. So we have a lot of things going on. Look, there's a contract class right here, right there. That might be good for you. Ignite is starting this month, which is a great way to kickstart your business and ignite it to catch it on fire. Jason, real quick, can you tell us about the thing going on at Nixa January 13th?
January, so Friday, the 13th in Nixa. Who in here wants to sell a house in Nixa over the next 12 months? Anybody? Awesome.
Because Christian County sells higher than Greene County.
Who wants to sell more houses this year than they did last year? Awesome. So that's what we're putting together. So on Friday, the 13th, this is a top mastermind. So the criteria is if you've sold 8 houses or more in the past 12 months, and you want to sell houses in Nixa, reach out to Mike, Rachel, or myself. And we're going to have Coach Perry, the Nixa football coach, is going to come and talk about overcoming adversity and leadership, followed by Zach Rance with the Nixa Public Schools. He's going to give a vision for what to expect out of the Nixa schools over the next couple of years. And then Matt Krause of the Parks Department is going to talk about projects that that Nixa Parks Department is going to be doing over the next couple of years. Did you guys know that the Parks Department had like 120 acres donated to them this past year? Yeah, so they've got some cool projects coming up. The city administrator is gonna talk about new subdivisions coming to town, zoning changes. And the Chamber of Commerce is gonna talk about new businesses coming to town. And then we're going to recap the whole thing by having a mastermind that is facilitated by Dan Holt and Adam Grady. Lunch is provided and one free drink for everyone who comes.
A happy hour at the end, correct?
That's right.
So it starts at 11:30. It is not all real estate based. It is Nixa based. So if you're wanting to do business in Nixa,
It
Jason's
is
got
all real estate agents only, and it's
Correct.
not just Keller Williams. We're inviting just top agents in the area.
But it's gonna be a great way. So if you want to do business with Nixa, touch base with Jason. He's got a lot that's gonna be going on down there, and so get involved with it.
Where is this gonna be?
It is at the main event center downtown.
In Nixa?
Yep. Reach out to me, I'll get you the
Thank you,
details.
sir. Hitting wrong button on the calendar. Okay, and Nicole, can you give us a little bit more info on Ignite? I see you threw the link up for people to register for it.
Yeah, so it gets started on Monday. Please register so then that way we can get the materials out to you because there are two options. You can get them either virtually or digitally, and you can bring a tablet or your computer and have them with you. Or you can actually get a physical copy, and we do need to know by probably tomorrow so that we could get them printed and bound for you. If you guys have questions on it though, please let myself or Shanna know. Shanna is actually spearheading it and basically helped with getting it all taken care of, and she'll be down there during the sessions to assist as well. But yeah, get signed up. It is a great way for you to get started with 2023. And not only that, it's all new content. So this is brand new. So if you took it 2 years ago, promise you, totally different. So get in there, get started, ignite with 2023.
And here's one of the things I love about us. It is not just us, like me teaching classes, Jim teaching classes. Look at everybody that's teaching this. Shanna, Rob Luck, Trey Watson, Evan DeShong, Mark Stewart, Jason Massengale, Paulina Nabar, Christina Coakley. It goes on and on. Our agents are pouring back into everybody else in here. So we're a place where we share everything and we want everybody to succeed. So take advantage of this, learn from these top people because that's why they're doing it, because they love sharing back with you. Okay, so updates on that. Ignite 9th, that's when it starts. This is a class coming up in St. Louis. This is, Nicole, do you have info on this one? I know Monica's one of the teachers on it.
Yeah, so I did kind of say some stuff a couple weeks ago when we had this, but I do want to reiterate, this class is for agents and assistants. So it's not just for like director of operations or anyone that's on your team. It is for everybody because it's basically 2 high impact days and you receive 21 powerful system playbooks that are proven systems to build $1 million in real estate business. So go to that if you are wanting to kind of get into those actions and stuff in 2023. But like I said, not just for assistants, also for agents. So click on the link. I'm about to share it. And it's got more information on it for you too.
Very cool. And Shift is coming up. We've got a lot of people going to this class in St. Louis. Shift happens and then Shift into Overthrive. I think we have 30 people so far going to this. Anything else on this, Nicole?
About to post the link. Please make sure that you get signed up for this. There's like 20, 25 of us going. So this would be a really great event to go ahead and join as a KW Springfield group. But like I said, the first day is $99 and the second day is completely free. So you get James Shaw and you get Jason Abrams. And like we've talked about in the past, James Shaw did start that Shift Facebook group during COVID, and it is still going on today because it's showing that there's always constantly going to be a shift in some way. And they talk about it every single week. So be in the room with him, get to know more of that, and join us in St. Louis.
Very cool. Also, mark your calendar. We got something new coming February 7th. This is called Vision Breakfast. It's going to be 9 o'clock breakfast down here. And then it's going to be a recap of 2022, a forecast and a view of the 2023 year that we have going on, and a bunch of other cool stuff going. So this is a brand new event. We've never done it before. February 7th, we're gonna get more info out on that, but it's gonna be breakfast at 9, and then instead of team meeting, it'll be the vision forecast for the year. So I think it's gonna be an exciting thing. And everybody pray that it does not snow that day so we can all get here. So, but put that on your calendar. That's a new thing coming up.
What time is that?
We're gonna start around 9 and then breakfast for about a half an hour and then go into the meeting. So it's gonna take the place of team meeting, but I think it's gonna be a cool thing. Family reunion's coming up in February. That is going to be in the same thing. It's 40th year anniversary of it. And we have invite info. If you have people you know might need to come to it, please talk with us. We can make customized invites for them. And we talked about that before. A couple quick things from Realtor, from GSBOR. Number one, check your email every Sunday night. You get all this info. And we're gonna start doing less of it here because you should be getting it. But fines are lower this year. So those of you that have fines, you'll be paying less, hopefully. Yes, sir.
The second paragraph, those who want to look at, if there's a correction needed, you need to fix your listing within 48 hours or they're going to suspend you from the MLS, which is what I've said all along. Just do that and see if you don't get the attention of the realtor. So, you know, if you get it, even if it's lead-based pay, I don't care what it is. They send you a note, get in there and fix it, reply. You know that you're going to get it from me too, but that's the key right there. Even if they're not going to, even if they do find you're, either way, if you don't fix it in 48 hours, they're turning off your MLS. Show up at the house trying to show a property.
Yeah.
You know, that's key. And I really think that was what they should have done all along. Just, you know, put that on the agent. And if the agent won't fix it, then who cares?
Yeah,
Then go on down the
They
road.
won't sell anything until they can get it
That's
fixed.
right.
This is a class coming up next week. I'm teaching it along with Chris Bryant and Justin Sturdivant. It's a lot of stuff we do here, but we're going to be sharing with more people and it's going to be at the board. It's going to be a fun class. It's a lunch and learn. January is awards nomination month. Those of you that like awards event is in March. So be watching for that to come out. It's going to be a simplified process this year, which will be much better for brokers, team leaders, all those kind of people. This tells how to get entered into something. I'm going to skip through that because we're running a little long on some stuff. And make sure you're getting this email every month, every Sunday. If you're not, email support@GSBOR. A lot of people have accidentally unsubscribed from it, and that's why you're not getting the info. So make sure you're getting those things. And the calendar for this month. And this week's focus.
Mike,
Go ahead.
really, before we get into the focus, I wanted to mention our Opportunity Knox event coming up.
Oh, yes.
So I had posted this on Facebook last week, but if you are a team that is looking to make a hire in 2023, or if you are an agent that is considering or want to learn about the options of joining a team, we are going to host an event called Opportunity Knox. In the chat, I will put the link for the Google form. The first step is to sign up on the Google form so we can see what the level of interest is and then who has a KPA and who doesn't, so we can move forward with that. But this is the perfect way. That way you can find out information. Because I know a lot of our teams are looking to make a hire in 2023, which from this event, this will be a great segue into Monica's boot camp that they're having in Austin, which some of you may have heard of the Perfect Real Estate Assistant, the course that Monica Reynolds puts on. Monica Reynolds is hosting this with Nicole Zuber, who's also a leadership maps coach, and Monica Keltz as well. So this is another class that is in supplemental to that Perfect Real Estate Assistant. So I'll put in the chat. And if you have any questions, come find me and let me know.
So this is kind of like a career fair inside the real estate world, correct?
For sure. We're trying to help our teams and agents create a win-win. Just with the change in the market, I know a lot of teams are doubling down and making those hires. And I know a lot of our agents are looking for potentially more of that team atmosphere as we go through into 2023.
Very cool. All right. So for this week, we got 4 things we're going to get through. The first one takes a little bit of time, so we're going to rush through the others a little bit. For the CMA strategies, a couple weeks ago, Paulina posted a comment in the Facebook page saying, how do you do CMAs with this current market? And, you know, appraisals from 6 months ago aren't really the same anymore. Grab your notepad, grab whatever you take notes with. This is a 10-minute video from some maps coaches that were going through this. It's quick info, so write quickly. And I do have some recaps after it also.
Okay, price it right. Show them the facts, ask them first, educate, validate, set clear expectations. Show them the facts. To me, you're always going to hear Emily and I say facts trump feelings. I feel, because when we pre-qual someone, right, we go through LTP Mama, location, timeline, price, motivation, you get a but one of the things that when we ask on price, we say, what do you think top dollar is for your house at this time or in this market? And whether they tell you up front or it takes them a couple times, so often I hear well, I feel like we should be able to get. So with the facts trump feelings, just show them the numbers, right? I would always take my laptop to the listing appointment. And when we go through pricing, there was never a point where I don't think we should ever go through a market analysis before understanding where they are in their perspective on price, because they could be incredibly off. So showing them the facts to me is just showing them the numbers, right? Showing them how you pull the market analysis, which is, okay, if we're pulling, we do a macro first, we do the entire area. We look at it from a buyer's perspective first, meaning how many houses are up for sale, how many are pending, and then we slowly bring it in, and then we identify at least 3 solds if there's a couple of pendings, and then we look at the actives. And more than anything right now, we're looking at the actives. Does anyone know why? When you're in front of a seller, helping them determine top dollar for their house, what's the magic in looking at actives?
Competition.
It's the competition. What else is it?
Answering her online, so.
What is that? Whoever the seller is, what are they not doing? Like whoever the active competition is that's already on the market, what's not happening for them?
Sold yet.
That's right, Lauren. They're not selling. And unless they're in their first week on the market, they're priced too high. So that's right. I just want to start with the CMA. When you look at the current market analysis, you're pulling actives, pendings, and solds. But right now the focus is more around helping people pricing it right. And if there's active inventory that's really similar to theirs, then we're going to want to price it at least 5 to 7% below what's already on the market that the market's proven is not selling.
Right there.
So showing them the facts, we already went over the market numbers, asking them first. I think what we mean by that, guys, is just make sure you're clear on what they think top dollar is. Educate or validate. You're looking, and we do this in the pre-qual on the phone before we're setting the appointment. And then when I get to the appointment, even because a lot of times our appointments are within a day or two of setting the appointment. And even in that short time frame, they're having conversations with neighbors, with other people like, oh, we're about to sell our house. And new information can change someone's perspective. So at some point, even if it's only the next day, they may have received information that changed their perspective on what they can get. So when you walk through the door, you're looking at the house, ask him, so remind me, or tell me again, what do you guys think top dollar is for your house in today's market? Or if you got the answer from the husband, ask the wife. Such that you know before you go into the market analysis, you're either, it's what the slide says, you're either validating, right? Because you can go through your value proposition and everything else. And if they say, let's say, I think I can get 500, and you've spent an hour on that market analysis and you know darn well, like you could have taken it at 550 and you would have felt kind of uneasy, but you absolutely can sell it at 500. Great, you're in alignment. You can just ask them, you guys, I spent over an hour diving into all the details. Do you want to review it? Because my conclusion is yes, I would be setting you up for success in the market if we go live at 500. Right, you're just validating.
They're already agreeing with you.
But if they're
that
off,
saves
you're
your
gonna have
guys'
to do
time.
some heavy
Going
lifting and
through it.
educating. And the reason I say bring your laptop is because people want to see the visual and they want the story behind the house. So unless they've actually, and ask them before you go through as you're going through the analysis, hey guys, have you seen this house? Right, because it makes a difference if they've actually walked through and that's one of their best friends or if they haven't. So the last piece to this is setting clear expectations. And I want you guys to write this down because it does not change market to market. I've been doing this for 15 years. For the last 10 years, I've only worked with sellers, and I would go on well over 100 listing appointments a year, and it just doesn't change in any of our markets. So when we go live, if we are priced right, we should receive at least 10 showings in the first week. And guys, I list in the luxury market as well. So maybe that ends up being like 7 to 10 showings if I'm in an uber high price point. But the reality is, if you're priced right, you're going to get enough showings and you should receive an offer in that first week to 2 weeks. And for us, it's the first week on the market. So we should receive at least 10 showings in the first week. From every 10 showings, statistically, we typically receive at least 1 offer. If we're not receiving consistent showings, like let's say that we're only receiving 2 or 3, or like we got 0, that means we're at least 8 to 12% off on price. So who can guess the majority of the price reductions that happen? What percentage are they? Assuming that the listing went on and we only got 3 showings the first week on the market.
8 to 12.
Because you guys now know, as your sellers, we're overpriced. So when we set the expectation at the listing appointment that we're 8 to 12%, if we're talking to a seller and saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, you and I both know we've only had 3 showings. That's right, Kimberly, that's right. It's 10% off. The majority, the lion's share of our price reductions are all 10% because you give people 3, and these are actual statistics. It's 8, 10 to 12. So most of ours are 10. Now, if we're getting, let's say, consistent showings, 8 to 10, sometimes 15, that means the marketing is working well. What's happening is something's off. It's a funky floor plan, right? Maybe it photographed beautifully, but it's not priced aggressively enough to get pen to paper. So that's 5 to 7% off if we're getting consistent showings. And what this does, guys, is it eliminates any of this going on the market because you've delivered this phenomenal listing presentation of your value proposition, how great your numbers are, et cetera. And then you push live and you get 2 showings. And you've already committed that you're going to do at least a weekly call. What's the one question a seller has for us when we make those weekly calls and they're not getting showings? Someone put it in the chat channel for me. Or unmute. Jordan Blackaby, you're spot on. If they're not asking it to you, they're literally thinking, what the heck are you doing to sell my house? I thought you said we should get an offer in the first week, and guys, we should. Irregardless of the market that we're in, if we're priced correctly. Yeah, so Sylvia, it's like you said, people will come up with all sorts of things. Well, we want you to hold an open house every Saturday and Sunday, whatever it is. And so we always set expectations up front. Guys, there's 4 reasons real estate sells. Do y'all know what they are?
Price, condition.
I know a couple people on here that know what they are.
There's one of them I didn't.
All right, so if there's 4 reasons real estate sells, location's number 1. We can't change location. Conditions number 1. Let's assume that we've already addressed condition or it's in good condition. Marketing is the 3rd one. When they choose to hire us, right? When they choose to hire you, you know you have an aggressive marketing strategy. You already have the playbook that has proven successful. So that's not the issue. So the 4th one, the only thing, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, that we're going to be talking about moving forward is price. Now, here's the thing. I know you're going to want to talk about our marketing plan, or you're going to want to talk about the condition of the house and what kind of money you can do to put into the house. And here's the reality. My goal is to net you top dollar. And if there was the amount of money or anything I could do extra from the marketing playbook, I absolutely would. There's no reason that I wouldn't. So we're already doing it. And I don't want you putting more money into the house because you're not going to get the return, or else I would have already recommended that they do it. So every single week, you're going to know before I even call you if we're off or on target. And guys, always ask it back to them. Say, all right, so how do you know that we're on target? Right, we get offers. How do you know that we'll need a 5 to 7% price reduction? We don't have consistent showings. And how do you know that we need an 8 to 10 or 8 to 12% price reduction? That's if we're just both off. And everything, guys, in my language is we. We are a partnership, me and the seller. We were off, right? So if we were off on pricing and the market's only responding with a couple of showings, here's what we do know. We don't want to sit on the market month after month after month and just hope for better results when we know it fades. Your first week of, and you can show a bar graph too, their first week of showings is, if this is a bar graph, it's here. Let's say it's 10 showings. And the second week it goes down to 3 showings, and then it goes flatline, and they have one-offs. So I think the most important thing on all of this is just, it's kind of all of it, right? You start off by showing them the facts and the numbers. You ask them what they think top dollar is for their house in this market. You figure out if you're educating or validating. Validating is beautiful. I know an agent who went on a listing appointment this week on our team, and she was like, that was amazing. I asked him how much he wanted to list the house for. He told me and it was spot on. I said, great, don't you love this? She goes, I was in and out. Right, so she validated. Some of them we have to educate. And they set clear expectations on what they can expect from the market and what they can expect from you. And what they can expect from us or from you is a conversation to pivot quickly. Shall we have chosen the incorrect price and the market's not responding not responding how we thought, right? Because we don't make the market, we read it and reinterpret it, and we do it together week over week.
Okay, so there's a lot of info quick. If you didn't get all the notes, I tried to do a quick type up of it all. But this is different conversations than we were having last summer. Because you have to, and the most important thing is setting expectations. That's actually number one. You've got to make them realize if we don't get fast activity on this, we've got to adjust quickly. And these stats, and if you need to screenshot that, or if you got it written down, we always said, if you get 10 showings, you should have an offer. If you've gotten 10 or more showings and you're not, something's wrong. So keep these in mind, talk with your people from the beginning and adjust quickly. You do not want it to sit on the market for long. As Jim says, we don't want to have birthdays with them. We don't want to have an anniversary with the market or with the listing. So that info is very pertinent for what's going on right now. Please try this. Let us know what you're learning from it. I love the educate or validate. I've never thought about, well, and typically when I ask people, what do you want to sell for? They say, well, you're the professional, you're supposed to tell me. But if they tell you a number that's already in your mind, that solves a lot of it right there. So anyway, a lot of good stuff there.
Mike, yeah, I mean, is it reasonable to expect 10 showings in the first 7 days in this market?
I don't know.
No.
You don't think so? I wasn't sure.
I mean, if it was, if it's priced 5 to 7% below the rest of the market, perhaps. I just don't see that.
What about price point though?
That's price point's another thing, but then also it's 30 degrees below. Or it's Super Bowl weekend.
Right.
Or it's a Chiefs game on a Sunday, or, I mean, there can be a lot of factors going where you don't get 10 showings in 7 days. Our rule of thumb, Chris and I, when we were working together, because she's so smart, was always, 10 showings, no contract, we need a price reduction. And it needs to be, unfortunately, 10%. So if you list at 500,000, you're dropping to 450.
Yeah.
And they just lost 50,000 and you didn't lose but 1,500.
So in other words, that's true. So in other words, don't tell them we're going to have 7 offers the first week. That's not going to happen anymore. Very
No, I think that was unreasonable anyway.
Yeah. Okay, so keep this in mind because the one with the listings wins the market. So you got to go after these aggressively. How many of you got your taxes done for 2022? Nobody? Okay, as you go into this year, I want to encourage you 2021. Look at LLCing yourself. Seriously, the first year I did it, it dropped my taxes $15,000 because the government taxes businesses separate from 1099 employees. And every one of you is a 1099 employee unless you're having it paid into your LLC. And we've got the whole process on how to do this. We've all heard of FSBO, right? What do we talk to when we're talking to a FSBO? What do we tell them? Why should they hire a professional? How come?
We'll make them more money.
Make more money.
We do all the work.
Do all the work. Simplify things. Okay, a lot of us are what I'm calling EBO. We're doing in business by owner. We're trying to run the business side of it, and we have no clue what the current tax laws are. We don't know what's changed. You need to hire people to help you with this. It will pay off, I promise. But you need to look, and this is, why am I pointing there? It's over here. You'll get there. Number one, disclaimer, the Market Center does not give accounting or tax advice. Consult professional assistance as you develop your systems. Get a professional to help you. But if you're still taking your income in as a 1099, you're telling the government, hey, come tax me. Take my money. Okay? Don't do that. Get some systems. How many of you track your mileage? Okay, you should be tracking your mileage. Right now, it's about a 63 cent a mile tax credit. Or not tax credit, tax deduction. Do it. I still do it on an old binder. Some people have an app. Any system, it's like a diet. Any one of them will work if you stick with it. But you got to realize you're a business and the government gives you some ways to be more profitable with it.
And I think we just earned 3 cents more.
It just went up 3 cents?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike.
That's just going after the money. Yes, ma'am.
Hey, a note on the LLC and W-9 stuff, I want to make sure and point out, whenever you're completing your W-9, if you're not sure on section 3 on which box to check as to how your entity is classified, make sure you talk to your CPA about this. So for instance, on box 3, after you put your name and if you do a DBA, it says check the appropriate box for your federal tax classification. A lot of people are checking the individual sole proprietor or single member LLC. And if you check this box, you have to know that the market center will still 1099 your social security number. Even though you have an LLC, you are not in the eyes of the federal government a different entity with that we can 1099 your EIN number. So if you check that box, the first box on section 3, we will still 1099 your social security number. If you check any other box or even the limited liability company, and then you enter the classification, if you're a corporation, S Corp or partnership, that's where we can 1099 your EIN number. And so we've had some confusion on this. And honestly, since this is new, our market center is still learning the different protocols based on what the MREC tells us. But just keep that as a heads up. And so if you change to an LLC and you submit your docs, we will be looking at that and clarifying with you how we will 1099 you moving forward.
But you know what? It's the beginning of the year. This is the best time to do the switch. So your entire 2023 is under the LLC. So we want to try and help you with that. Again, we're learning each time. There's a few more steps to it because the government changes stuff. But this will help you down the long run. And basically, your money goes into there and you take a reasonable salary for yourself. Guess what? Now you're a W-2 employee, which makes you more qualifiable for home loans or other things. Because as a 1099, they don't always trust you. There are so many good things to help with this. So anyway, I know we're going long. I got to point this way. Economic model worksheet. We also, this is something we can go into and help you figure out what your goals are for the year. I'm not going to jump into it on this time because we're running long, but we will help you figure out how much you need to sell to get whatever income level you want. So all this stuff is a great January thing to get going. And our final thing of today, culture of kindness. We've had a couple times in the last month where agents have been just downright rude to some of the leadership team when they're trying to help them, like naughty words and everything.
Send them to me.
Okay. I want to ask you all, keep that in mind. Even though sometimes something might be frustrating, the people in the leadership group up there are doing everything they can to help you make every dollar you can and have every experience you can. And so I just want a friendly reminder, we're a culture of kindness. Let's apply it to everybody in the building, okay? And I got a bunch of bonus stuff we're gonna go through next week because we run long. We hope this info helps you get started on a new year. It's time, brand new year, get some new goals going. If some of this is too overwhelming, I'm getting through all those, I promise. Start one new thing, and then from there, get on to the next. But next week, we'll probably get into some of these other things we just skipped and a little bit more on the economic model, just to help you see how simple it is once you set goals to get everything going. So again, thank you all for joining. Thank you all online. Have a great week and come to some Ignite classes.
No, well, it's money.
Sign up for
I'm climbing, girl.
Chicken.